I just got a new board, a cheap factory-made EPS board, also referred to as a Chinese pop-out, and I thought I would use this opportunity to share my opinion on this type of boards. Pop-outs are all I've ever served. As a beginner and an intermediate, I always found it hard to justify throwing almost $8,000 into a board that might buckle the very next day I bought it. But I still wanted to treat myself to a brand new stick. That's why I went with the made in China stuff from Decathlon. Retail price is around €350 with FCS2 fins. That is really cheap. Decathlon isn't the only company selling those cheap boards. You can actually find Chinese pop-outs just about anywhere in the world and get yourself a brand new board for half the price of the main surfboard brands. But are those boards any good? And are they worth it? I'm just going to answer the question right away and then tell you the pros and cons, as well as tell you whether or not I think you should get one. So in my opinion and from my experience, yes, they are good boards. They're actually perfect for beginners and intermediates. So what are the pros of those boards? Well, it's super cheap. Chinese pop-outs should be around €300 to €400, not more. This is what you would pay for a used board in good conditions from a top surfboard brand. I think it's nice to have this budget-friendly option for people wanting to buy a brand new board. Basic shapes that have stood the test of time. Pop-outs do not have sophisticated rails or bottom contours. They are mass-produced and the shape is basic, but it works. I like to think of them as blank canvas on which you'll be able to hone your technique and discover your style. I like the idea of having a neutral board bring out your personality rather than a sophisticated board forcing a style onto you. Pop-outs are also primarily EPS. Epoxy is super strong and a great beginner-friendly construction for that reason. My boards only have light pressure dents and hardly ever got any dings, and I've really put them through a lot. The only thing you have to be cautious of is to not surf it if you've got a crack or a ding. EPS will suck in more water than PU if you surf them with a ding. EPS also paddles really well. For the same dimensions and glass job, EPS is lighter than PU, so it sits more on top of the water. This makes paddling easier and is once again great for beginners and intermediates. Note that I'm only talking about paddling here, not gliding.
Oh, I'm not going at all.
And what are the cons of those boards? Well, first, EPS does not glide very well. I said epoxy paddles well, and that's true, but as soon as you stop paddling, you will almost instantly lose all of your momentum. As the board is sitting higher up on the water, the wind and the water surface are actively braking your board. This makes it sometimes hard to get over flat spots if the wave has got a little bit of texture to it. It becomes especially problematic in hollow and powerful surf. As you're paddling into those waves, you won't glide down the face easily. This means that you're always going to pop up high up on the face of the wave, which is exactly where you don't want to be at on fast and pitching waves. It's also chattery on chop. EPS boards are notorious for this. As the board is sitting more topical, you are going to feel bumps a lot more than with a PU. On big waves, as you're getting to higher speeds, it can get pretty annoying. Setting your rail and staying on rail is much harder to do when the board just wants to surface with every single bump. And these are all the cons I've personally found. As you can tell, there is very few of them, and they all have to do with the construction of the board. PU pop-outs also exist and would eliminate the downsides that I've just listed. However, you would also eliminate the pro of having a very robust board. PU pop-outs are very lightly glassed and super fragile. So do I think they are worth it? Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think pop-outs have their place. Board prices have surged in the past couple of years and not everyone can afford a new board. If you're not looking for a magic board but want a basic shape that will work, I think pop-outs are a good option. I feel like PU would cover a broader range of conditions without deteriorating your surfing experience. Having said that, the board I just bought is an EPS again because I wanted a board that would last me a long time. So let's transition now to the review of my new board, which is a Torq Hybrid. So let's start with the reasons why I bought this board. The first reason and main reason is that my previous board, the Lion board, was starting to feel too long, especially in small waves where I was starting to struggle to fit the length into the face of the wave. I feel like the length of the board was also really slowing my transitions down between turns, so I really wanted to step down in length. Not necessarily in volume, but especially in length. I also liked the idea of a one-board quiver. Don't ever have to wonder which board to take out. It's easy on the mind, easy for travels, and it's good to really dial in a board. You just have to have different fin setups for small waves and big waves. So I figured a hybrid shape with a fishy nose and a performance tail would be perfect. A fishy nose to be able to paddle into just about anything and also float me through weak sections, and a round tail to provide hold in bigger surf or in steep waves. The idea is to have lots of foam under the chest for speed and a small tail for control. So what do I like about this board? It works well in every conditions, from knee-high to overhead. It truly lives up to the one-board quiver name. I can paddle into tiny waves no problem, and the smallest waves I pushed it in was knee-high and mushy. In bigger surf, I can paddle into waves earlier and therefore be able to take the drop despite the low rocker. I can paddle back out easily and chase peaks with ease as the foam under the chest really helps with paddling. The round tail provides great hold in steep and bigger waves. The board does not want to slide off the face, but actually just wants to make one with it. The round tail also bites really well through turns and wants to keep that rail engaged. It doesn't want to flatten out, slide out, or pivot super fast. It's all about keeping the rail engaged. The board goes really well with a 2+1 fin setup. It's fast and loose, so even if the tail wants to bite, you can still slide it out with the trailer in the back. Now, what do I not like about this board? The board works all the time, but it never really excels. There is never a time where I think, oh, that's the perfect board for those waves. In really small or mushy waves, the fishy nose works great, but the round tail is holding me back. I get no lift through the tail as I pop up, and pumping is pretty much useless. With a big squash tail, pumping will make the board bounce forward. But with a round tail, I feel like I'm just sinking the tail and not getting much rebound. In steep and punchy waves, the fishy nose is holding me back. It has a strong tendency to catch. I really had to narrow my stance down to make it work and make sure that nose is pointing up through my turns. It's nice because it's teaching me to really surf off the tail, but I also feel like I can't really use the entire rail line. The low rocker is also problematic for the same reason, but at least I can compensate with an earlier wave entry. It is an EPS, so it does get chattery. I'm used to it, so it doesn't really bother me, but for a one-board quiver to act funny in the wind means it isn't ideal a lot of the time. So a PU board might have been better as a one-board quiver. So what's my overall conclusion on this board? Well, it's made me reconsider the one board quiver. I feel like the idea of having one board is good for inexperienced surfers or surfers who want to make it dead simple. I only really used one board those past 2 years and it worked well for me. At my level though, I feel like it's better to have at least 2 boards. One for small waves and one performance board. I am just starting to see the use of having multiple boards. I think early intermediates can't really appreciate having different boards as they can't really tap into the full potential of either of them. But I'm at a point now where I'm starting to feel the impact of small things like fins, construction, rocker, rail line, volume, and so I think it's now a good time for me to split my quiver in 2. So I'm actually looking to buy 2 PU boards, one proper groveler and one performance board. I'm used to the chatter, but I would love to experience the comfort of riding a PU through chop. I've actually already found my performance board. I wasn't planning on buying it this early, but I found a bargain that I couldn't pass on. I'm still looking for my small wave board, but I'm not in a hurry. The Torq is pretty fun and it could very well last me the whole summer. I really hope you found this video helpful and please let me know if you did. Let me also know if you liked the board review as well, and I will be doing a review of my future boards if that's the case. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.